protecting our community is worth a shot. Vaccines can help protect you, your family, and our community. Stop by James Drugstore today.
And welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Weekly Show, a podcast brought to you by the Livingston Parish News. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the News, and we're here for part two of our sit-down on this beautiful Friday with Parish Councilman Tracy Girlinghouse. I'm going to let him introduce himself real quick. Go ahead, sir.
I'm Tracy Girlinghouse, Parish Councilman for District 7, which encompasses the Walker area.
And we appreciate him again. If you watched the earlier episode this week where he and I sat down and discussed zoning, you will know that he and I are sitting in a small black room at my office in Denham Springs while it is beautiful outside. So we're going to try to get him out the door so he can go enjoy the weather. Now, we talked zoning earlier. This time we're talking about river rules. And one of the things, a lot of this is sparked from public outcry about a specific business in Watson that had some very unfortunate accidents over the summer. One of the things that you and I are going to be talking about today is more so general rules about when you are on the river anywhere in Livingston Parish or when you're on a body of water. Trying to talk about safety, information, a warning. Hey, if you're not, these are bodies of water. They move quickly.
Yep.
You have to be careful, things like that. So first and foremost, I know that the council, as they wanted to address this issue, decided that, well, we don't want to single out a business, especially when they're not breaking any laws. I mean, as you and I discussed, it's a river.
Yes.
It's a moving body of water. We need to discuss all of the river, all of the waterways here in Livingston Parish. So tell us about those initial discussions that the council had when trying to decide how to address this issue.
Well, I think the tragedies of, when people drown on the river, and of course that is tragic. We just felt like that maybe we need to reexamine, our part of that, parish government's part. And there needs to be some rules and some new rules put in place. It more of an education. If you're operating a business, and in this particular case, we know it's about tiki tubing. But I wanted to say I don't feel like tiki tubing. I know they haven't broken any laws, and it's important to say that. The structure we have in place, I believe needs adjusting, and I'm confident that they will do that. They will do these things. I think we need to require maybe some life vests. Now, I don't know if you require them for everyone or everyone under the age of 18. I think you certainly should for everyone under the age of 18. Do you require them for people over the age of 18? I don't know. I have a hard time just walking out on people's personal, choice or freedoms, but they certainly should be educated to the condition of the river at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And they should be educated on what the other dangers are, if not just the river stage, but where you need to get on and off. And we have a few things in place where we think that we're going to do some adjustments to this, but there's a few that we can do pretty much immediately. I heard Mr. Talbert say the other day they're not, the tubing season's over, so they're not really doing it right now. And I'm going by his word on this because that's his district. I haven't.
They do close.
I have not been tubing since I was like 20.
Well, yeah. For those of you who can't see, I am a very pale and freckly individual. I have been tiki tubing once. I was very sick for many days because I was sunburned despite reapplying and everything. So I don't tube either, but I have been tiki tubing once. It's a good time. It's fun. The river was low at that time.
Yeah.
And I know that we had a lot of major rain, especially in June, that caused it to be the river to swell. It's more powerful. But yes, they open late spring and close roughly Labor Day is their last run of the year.
So as it turns out, this is really a good time. There's never a good time. There's always a good time to implement rules for safety But as it turns out, if we implement these rules now, they have plenty of time to adjust their business model to and it's not even, we're not talking about some major things at first. You talk about, I believe that we have the life vest requirement, and look, they can get those and rent those out,
Sure.
or have them available for people. If you're in my mind, if you're 17 and under, you have to wear one. If you're 18 and over, I'm a little hesitant to require that, because now you're kind of stepping on people's adults' freedoms. But if there's a push to do that by other councilmen, I'm not saying that I would be against it. I would make my case on that, and and we move forward. Ultimately, we just want it to be safe for people, because I think even as an adult, you can get out there and be like, whoa, this is way more than I thought.
Yeah.
And that's happened. I think that our job is to, at least give some guidelines for safety rules, for the parish. And I'm sorry, my phone, it was my father.
You're good.
Yeah, but signage for sure, where we're at, where you're getting in, go this way, directional signs along the river, and you can get these made. Of course, a storm might come and blow them away, but they're inexpensive. You just go put new ones out.
Sure.
And just inform people where they are along the way. I think there needs to be a video. Now we have to come up with the video, and they can make the video themselves. So, and I think as the way it is now, you come in, you sit down, and there's a release, and you sign it. And that certainly still needs to be in place. But I think that you need to have a video that kind of touches into that, like, hey, we want you to have a safe, fun time on the river. You need to be aware of the dangers involved. You should always wear a vest. We want to implement that everyone should wear a vest. And I think there needs to be a river stage update. Like, look, you can get on the news every morning, and it'll tell you, on the website or on just turn the TV, it'll tell you what the river stage is. And there needs to be a chart that shows, hey, we are here, and the river is running, at this rate, or we consider this, more or less ideal, or a little faster than an ideal, or just, hey, the river's slow.
Sure.
But we need to. I want to be at one place where no matter what, someone's informed, because like some people are going to do what they want. I have no doubt in my mind they'll put the vest on, and then they get 50 yards down the river, and they're like, and I hate that idea, but I know people are going to do what they need to do. But we need to inform them of what they're getting into, and more than just the signing the waiver. I put it this way earlier in the week. I said, I updated my phone the other day, and it says, hey, there's this like whole legal thing where you go in there and you just go, well, who reads that?
Sure.
You just go accept, update, and I believe though, when you sit and you have to sit down and watch this video, and look, you have to do it. If you go whitewater rafting, you go skydiving, you go bungee jumping, 3 things. You watch video. That's just 3 I can think of. I've done all 3, and I've had to watch a video for all 3.
Right.
And for other stuff too. So, even you go to work, go into a plant, you have to watch a safety video.
Right.
So it's not an issue. We just watch a safety video, because most people, like another councilman had pointed out, are visual. If you put them down in front of a video, they're going to hear it. If they read it, I think people kind of have more of a pack mentality, where you just go, well, everybody else is signing, I'm just going to sign and go.
Right.
You assume that it's safe, and we certainly want it to be, but we also want people to be educated. I could, if I have me, and I don't have any young kids anymore, but if I had, young children with me, and the last thing I want to do is think that this is super safe. If I watch the video, I might go, you know what, as a parent, go, yeah, you know what, kids, this might not be for us today. Let's go do something else.
Sure.
And that's really what we want to put in place, because that's our job.
Sure.
We don't want to. I mean, look, the river has been a constant source of enjoyment for the people of this parish and the surrounding area for probably 100 and something years. We're not trying to put a damper on that, but what we are trying to do is educate the public, or to where they're put in a state to where they are educated on what they're about to do.
Right.
And by and large, it can be fun and safe. But we want to do first, for start, just some minimum things: the video, the signage, the life vest. Those are just things that make sense.
Sure.
And those are things that those things need to happen. That's a no-brainer.
Right.
And so we need to address. We are going to address it in that manner, and I'm confident that those things are going to go through. And I don't think the owners of any business that decides to do that will have a problem with it.
Sure.
Because they don't want. They don't want those tragedies either.
No.
And when you have a body of water and you have people, tragic things are going to happen. But ultimately, it's our responsibility to make sure that you were armed with all the information about what you're getting into beforehand, so you can make that decision going forward.
Sure. So we've talked a lot specifically about how y'all would address tiki tubing as a business and as a section of the river. It starts right around North Watson and ends pretty close to Magnolia Beach. So let's broaden the scope here and talk about how you would, I guess the word is, enforce things like this in other parts of the parish, because there are still people who get on the water. There's the Tickfall, there's the Lower Amie, there's the diversion canal, and of course all this stuff goes into Lake Maurepas. What is the vision for this, trying to make sure that we are enforcing it throughout the waterways in Livingston Parish, because they're all just as dangerous as the other?
Well, in different ways. If the river is at a high stage, in my opinion, the river can be at a certain stage where it's dangerous in Magnolia Beach and North. With that same at that same stage in Port Vincent, the river is much broader, and and it's not as fast.
Right.
If you're on a tube, in an inner tube in Port Vincent, and the river is moderately high over here, I mean, you're probably having a boring time,
mm-hmm.
In Port Vincent on the same stage.
Right.
So enforcement is it would be the job of the sheriff's department, or I guess wildlife and fisheries.
Sure.
You would know the rules, but I'm not quite sure how enforcement will work. In my mind, I just want people to know what they're getting into. I need them to be more educated. They need to be more educated because of the perils. Because I think that some people, look, if you live here, you probably have there's a 90% or more chance that Amite Rivers is crazy this week. We've had a bunch of rain. Because you live it.
Right.
You live these situations. When it rains hard for a long period of time, that river's going to be high. But then you have people that come here that aren't from this area, and they don't know. And we have to create a mechanism for them to make an educated choice at that moment. Just to say, hey, look, you need to wear this life vest, and here's a video, and it can get a little scary out there, and a lot of times that's what people want. You know, they want the thrill, you know, but I don't think it's intended to be a roller coaster.
No.
You know, it's
Right.
intended to be fun
And kind of
Yeah.
lazy.
and lazy, you know. And you can get those thrills if it's a little fast, you know, but if it's too fast, you know, and it's just flat dangerous, you know, that's something we need to look out. But then you have to figure out a way to determine when it is that way, you know, because it's not just the water. You know, there's a lot of obstructions in the river down there. You know, there's a lot of limbs and you know things that make it dangerous.
Sure.
And you know, you just have to put those in. You have to put those in a form to let people know those things exist.
Right.
You know, and that's really what I'm trying to do. The enforcement part is not something that I do that falls under my purview. You know, you can make it, and I'm sure they can catch people. But you know, there's also the people, and this is something I explained during the meeting Tuesday night. You know, I would believe for every person that goes to pay, there's at least one other person who just does it on their own. You
Sure.
know?
Yeah.
So, do they watch the video? You can't make them. You can make the people who go to the business watch the video, and if you're going to get in here, yeah, and depending on how we structure the law, you're going to wear a vest. You know, so in a way, the business can help us enforce that.
Sure.
But you know, they're probably, and I know, we just went on our own when I was kids. We were kids. I didn't go through no business.
Right.
You know, I got an inner tube.
Yeah.
There's the water. I don't need somebody to tell me when to I'll get off at the bridge. You know, and I'm sure that occurs to some degree today. So we have to be able to at least get the information out there. That same, you know, we could do the video, and we could put the video on the parish website. Will they go watch it? I mean, no, but maybe their parents will, and their
Right.
parents will go, no, you know, you're not doing that today. You know, like my parents would have done with me. You know, you're not doing that. It's crazy, you know. And so we just need to get people along those lines, you know, to where they can educate them and know. And you know, and as far as enforcement goes, there will be adequate. I'm sure I can't expect the sheriff's department to have deputies sitting out there 24/7 watching for people.
Sure.
You know, but you know there will be times they'll catch people.
Sure.
You know, and there'll be a fine, or there'll be something in place, and unfortunately those kind of situations, or fortunately, if you catch someone doing that, they're going to tell people, well, I got caught, and then other people are going to know, and they're going to know it, and it's going to spread like that. You know, I don't know
Sure.
how to do it any other way, but we have to do something and get it started, because you know we need to step in at some point and at some level to make sure people understand.
Sure. So talking about getting started, you know, y'all had a meeting. Has it been? Y'all had a meeting about it. Well, several actually, where it came up. But y'all have been discussing it in ordinance committee. Where does it sit currently?
Well, I think we're going to do one more ordinance committee meeting, and we're looking like this as an ongoing process. You know, we're not going to try to perfect the ordinance before
Sure.
we send it forward. We're going to do the obvious things, the signage, the life vests. Those are just things you can just implement, and it has to be done.
Right.
You know, the video, well, it is something that we can implement, and it needs to be done. But we need to sit down and discuss, what do we need them to say. We're not going to make the video for them. We're just going to have a punch list and say, you need to address these 10 things.
Right.
You make the video pretty much however you want to, but you need to talk about these 10 things, you know, or these 10 things. You need to address the river stage, the obstructions in the water, you know, wearing your life vest properly, you know, things of that nature. And that's what we need to come up with the list. And in doing these things like this, and pretty much with any ordinance or anything you try to bring in and enact, there's going to be feedback. You know, you might have someone from the fire department that goes out to rescue somebody, or a sheriff's deputy might be giving someone a ticket, or you know, someone along that nature, and they might be like, hey, you know what you need to do, and they'll tell us something that just is like, we should have thought of that.
Sure.
You know, it's like anything else. How many times you got into a project and then went, I should have done this.
Right.
And that happens way more than most people want to admit who were elected. You know, I've sat and I've received ideas from people in the crowd to say, hey, well, why not this? And I'm like, why didn't we think of
Why?
that?
Yeah. Right.
And we'll all look at each other and be like, you're right. And so we're going to adjust these as we go. But I don't think we need to put the whole thing off to get it exactly like we want in order to, and then here it is banged together, and then we'll present it, knowing that we're probably going to have to change some stuff in anyway to make it better. So we're going to implement some things, and then we can adjust the ordinance as we become more educated ourselves. You know, we're learning about these things ourselves. You know, and so we can talk to the people who are at ground zero, so to speak. You know, the fire department. I'm sure that James Wascom, the chief of Fire Protection District 4, I'm sure he's got plenty of things he can help me. And if he don't know, it'll occur to him.
Sure.
You know, and then he will call me and say, Tracy, what about this? And it might be something we're like, yep, that sounds like a good idea. I'll present it to the ordinance committee. We agree on it. We present it to the council, and then we just adjust the ordinance. So, but there's things we can do immediately, and I think we should.
Sure. Okay. Well, the timeline, as you said, there'll have to be another ordinance committee meeting before.
But there's one next Tuesday.
Okay.
And I think we'll have a couple of the things hammered down, and then we will present them to the council that Thursday, 2 days later.
Okay. And for those of you who are wondering what the process is, they'll have it out of committee. It will go to the parish council. They'll have to introduce it and wait 2 weeks, and then there'll be a public hearing on it.
Correct.
So be looking for something in October.
Yep.
As long as it makes it out of ordinance committee and y'all introduce it. So it's going to be interesting to see what can happen over the next.
And I feel like
months.
it will. That no one in the you can get your vibe of the room. No one's against this. I think everyone in the ordinance committee agrees. And to the council's credit, when we do these Zoom meetings, there's the four of us from the ordinance committee, and there's usually 2 or 3 other councilmen there as well in the Zoom meeting, putting their input in. So when you get that kind of input at the committee level, and you get the sense that everybody agrees, then you're pretty confident that you're going to get something through. And look, this is a no-brainer. We don't want to hinder people having a good time on the river, but and really it's not under normal conditions. You just say, hey, look, you have watch this video where understand that the vest will make you safer if you're over 18, or if you're under 18, you got to wear it, and go have a good time.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you taking the time. Again, going to let you introduce yourself real quick.
I am Tracy Girlinghouse, Parish Councilman for District 7, which encompasses the Walker area. And as I said earlier, go Cats.
Go Cats. And my name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Remember, please be on the lookout for the next over the next month or so. There are going to be some things coming out about river rules. We like using alliteration around here. And please remember, if you didn't get to check it, earlier in the week we released an episode talking to Mr. Girlinghouse about zoning. He's been the champion of that, you can say, over the past 3 years or so, and it looks like in year 4 you're going to be getting some dividends, some payoff. So
we're going to do that.
Yep. Things are moving in that direction as well. Want to remind folks that the newspaper is on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube. We are once a week in print on Thursdays at $7 a month to get that in your mailbox. We're also online, www.livingstonparishnews.com. You can also catch this podcast on all the podcast platforms and on our website. One last time, appreciate you joining us, and we will see you next time.